What up, D Squad? It is your boy JB, and I am here today, you guys, with a brand new review for the Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 19, and this is episode number 4. And the episode is titled Judge, Jury, and Jen. Now, before I do get into the review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys are not subscribed yet, I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, you guys, and also by sharing the video. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let us go ahead and discuss this episode of The Real Housewives of Orange County. Shall we? All right, you guys. So before I get into it, I would love to know if you guys watched the episode. Like, what were you guys' thoughts and opinions on the episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Definitely let me know, and we can talk about it from there. Now also, you guys give me like a few minutes because I'm still currently working, but I'm wrapping it up. For me, this was a good episode. What I will say with this episode is there is somebody in my hallway that is really, really loud, or either by the pool. What I will say with this episode is that Tamra, oh God, I see you for your works. Like, you are foul, you are janky, and you are full of ish. So this episode, it opens where the last one ended. And you guys remember in episode 3, we ended with Katie and Shannon going back and forth, right? And Shannon is still pissed off at Katie, which rightfully so. I'm not upset that Shannon was pissed off with Katie, because I would be pissed off with Katie if you recorded me and I was none the wiser. So that's what Shannon is still talking about. Shannon is like, Katie was trying to make excuses for it, which absolutely, Katie was definitely trying to make an excuse for what happened with that situation with Shannon. She absolutely was. And I'm not going to sit here and hold you guys. Should she have made an excuse? No, she should have just owned up to it and was like, you know what, Shannon, I did this. There is no ifs, and there's no buts when it comes down to it. And so we see as Katie actually was getting ready to leave. So as she was leaving, that's when Heather went up to her, and Heather was basically telling her, like, yeah, maybe you should table this for another time. And I agree with that, right? So Jen also asked the question of why is this coming up? And Katie and Gretchen both said because of Tamra, which that is 100% true. Tamra is the catalyst for all of this. So then we see as Tamara is on her way to Heather's party, and she's coming to the party with Joe. And I was like, Tamara, you are so diabolical. Like, you're doing this to get under Gretchen's skin when Slade and Joe have not been together for years. So what is your real true purpose for doing this, Tamara? Like, it's given that you're pressed about Gretchen. When I tell you Tamara's a whole entire no for me, she's a no. So she gets there, and Tamara notices that Katie is leaving, right? So she wants to go up to Katie and talk to her, and Matt was like, "No, let's go." And I was actually with Matt, like, "Nah, let's go," right? So then Tamara comes up to her, and Tamara's like, "Well, I'm just coming to check on you." Tamara, you're full of crap. If you were really coming to check up on Katie, here's again, like I said, when we first found out about Katie recording Shannon, I don't agree with Katie recording Shannon, but in the same breath, Tamara, you've known about this, and you've known about this since last season. So if you felt some type of way about it, you should have mentioned this to Shannon. Like, you guys got up and hugged each other at the reunion last year. If you felt so strongly about this, you really should have said something to Shannon after the reunion, but you didn't. So Tamara, girl, you did this, you were calculated in doing this. My God, somebody is literally really. I hope you guys don't hear what I'm hearing, but somebody is really talking loud, and I'm thinking it's coming from the pool, because my apartment faces the pool. So, oh God, back to what I was talking about. So, Tammy Sue, like I said, you're full of crap because you're not really checking on Katie out of concern. You probably, I wouldn't be surprised if if you hadn't been texting with Emily or Gina prior to getting there, right? So we also see that Terry was going around talking to people, and Terry was high as hell. I was laughing at Terry, right? Here's another thing that I will say I'm kind of getting irritated with is the whole defense of Tamra, where everybody wants to defend Tamra and say that, oh, Tamra's going through this when it comes to Teddy, which I'm not going to take away from how she's feeling with the Teddy situation, but that's not an excuse. Oh, Tamra is in therapy. Well, it's obviously not helping her when it comes to her therapy session. Like, it's not helping. Um, but again, you guys can tell me how you guys feel about that when it comes down to it. So Tamara got there, and I love the fact that when it came down to it, Gretchen didn't really give Tamara the reaction that I feel that Tamara wanted from Gretchen. She didn't give it to her, right? And then on top of that, Jen and Tamara, not Jen and Tamara, but Jen and Gretchen were talking to Terry, because again, they're talking about how Tamara, they're seeing a change in Tamara. If you guys see it, you see it. I don't see it, but I love the fact that at one point Gretchen went up and gave Joe a hug. I was like, that was mature, because that ain't got nothing to do with you. And we also saw that not Katie, but Tamara was talking about Katie and how her husband was yelling at her. I was like, girl, that man was not yelling at you. But if that's what you want to say, like uh, Tamara's an itch with a B. And that's all I got to say. So let's go ahead and move on. So next up, we got Gina. Now let Gina tell it. Gina and Travis are in a really good spot with each other, right? Last year with their real estate, they closed close to $10 million, and they also created their own little group, right? And I was like, oh, they launched their own team. I was like, okay, congratulations, Gina. I didn't mention this last week, but I want to mention it now. So Gina was on somebody's podcast, and the person was they were talking about the next season, right? And so Gina was talking about how she doesn't want to film with Katie, and that if Katie comes back, then she'll kind of have to reconsider, doing the show. I was like, Gina, you do know that the fans don't see it for you, right? You do know that the fans have asked, and I saw a lot of people in the comments saying, "Oh, get rid of Gina and Emily. If Gina goes, get rid of Emily." Like, you do know that the people don't care for you, Gina. But okay, whatever. That's hilarious to me. So back to Gina. So Tamara came by. So Gina and Travis are doing an open house. It's for people 55 and up. So Tamara came by, and they had a conversation. Once again, they talked about Jen, because I forgot to mention that at the party, Jen went to Tamara and asked Tamara if they can sit down and have a one-on-one conversation at some point, right? So Tamara agreed to it. So then Gina is like, well, I'm really confused how you guys got to this place. I was like, are you really Gina, or are you just pulling my leg? Because it's very, we know how Jen and Tamara got to this place. They got to this place because Tamara ain't a friend to nobody. Like, did you forget the way that Tamara did Jen last season? But okay, whatever. But that's that. I don't really have much to say about that. If you guys have anything that you guys want to add to it, feel free to leave it down in the comments and we'll move on to the next person. And so the next up we'll talk about is Heather. It's really nothing much with Heather either, because with Heather, only thing they got for Heather in this episode is, remember the property that her and Terry was supposed to be, fixing up. Well, they did do it, but remember, she wants to sell that property. So she's meeting up with two guys from the show $1 Million Listing. Now, I don't know anything about that show. I don't know anything about those guys. So if you guys know anything about them, please let me know. Are they, I've never watched $1 Million Listing, but they're trying to sell the house, right? So Heather's whole thing is she would like to break even when it comes to selling the house. I was like, okay. Now we'll say that the way that they the way that they remodeled that house, especially when from what we saw in the last episode with them, it looks really good. Like whoever did that, whoever when they redid the floor, they have staged the house. It looks really good. So good luck to Heather. That's really all we got with that scene. Now we did find out that her house is between somewhere close to where Drake's house is and LeBron James. I was like, okay, girl, you live amongst the stars. But moving on to the next person, you guys, and let's go ahead and get old Tammy Sue out the way because I don't really want to talk about her. So Tamra, now we see Tamra. So Tamra is with her daughter Sophia, and they are, talking. So we found out that Sophia is in school, and congratulations to her. So she's going to a community college, which is what I did. That's why my loans are so low. I went to she's going to a community college, and then she wants to go do something involving music. So good luck to Sophia. She also talked about the fact that Sophia, sells her clothes. It sounds like that stuff like Poshmark and all that kind of stuff. And so she's also helping Tamara sell some of her clothes. And they had a conversation about that. They also talked about the fact that, her daughter, so Sophia, I guess, was supposed to move out at one point, but there seems to be some kind of like separation anxiety with both Sophia and with Tamara. Tamara also feels like, Sophia leaving, it'll kind of remind her of Sydney. I was like, ooh, Tamara. Hasn't Sydney asked you on multiple occasions not to mention her? But okay. That's literally all we got with Tamara. Nothing much to discuss there. So we'll move on to Emily. Now we see Emily. So Emily is her, it's Gretchen, and it's Shannon. So they are at a workout class, and it's those hammock things where we see it on television all the time, where people are, it's like kind of like trapeze and stuff. So they doing that. Shannon was struggling with it, and I'm like, that sounds like Shannon. So give me a second, you guys. I'm doing something real quick. And I wish they would stop by that damn pool. So Shannon is still upset about the whole Katie thing. And again, I'm not upset with Shannon for being upset with the Katie thing, because she has every right to be upset with Katie. That is foul what Katie did, recording her, especially when she was going through that stuff with John and Alexis, right? So Gretchen, however, she's kind of conflicted because she wants to defend Katie. And here's the thing I will say. You can always defend your friends, right? But in this particular instance, you can't defend your friend. And that's what I will say. It's always okay to have your friends back and defend your friend. But when it comes down to this whole situation with Katie, this is just something, her recording Shannon is not something that is defensive, that has a defense towards it. So that's what I will say about that with Gretchen, right? And that was really all we got with that scene. So now we can move on to Katie. So this scene with Katie, we see Katie as she is at like a coffee shop, and she's meeting up with both Gina and Heather, right? So they let Katie know that after she left, that Tamara was saying that Matt yelled at her, and Katie was like, Matt didn't yell at her. And they played the footage back, and Matt did not raise his voice at Tamara. So Tamara is full of SHIT. So then Heather said, well, just tell him don't get involved. And here's the thing, it's not like he got involved. He was just telling Tamara, like, now you care. So I wouldn't necessarily say Matt got involved. Matt was actually trying to tell his wife, let's go. And then Joe and Tamara walked over to them. So he was just trying to get Katie away from the situation. So I don't really feel like he involved himself. So then Heather asked Katie, did she meet up with someone named Kiki Monique? Now, I'm not familiar with who Kiki Monique is, but it said a podcast and radio host. So again, I'm not familiar with her. So Katie said that she did meet up with her. So Heather asked her, well, I heard that you asked her to put out stories from, and she said, who did you hear that from? And not Katie, but Heather said she heard it from Tamara. And I was like, of course this came from Tamara. So the question that I'm now going to ask is, when did this happen? Like, Tamara thinks she's so calculated, but she's really not. Because again, like I was saying about the whole Shannon thing, if you felt so strongly about Katie recording Shannon, why didn't you tell Shannon when you found out? Even if you're not in the best place with Shannon, at least give her a heads up, like, hey, girl, I found out that, Katie recorded you and played the footage for Alexis. That's one thing. Like, you hold on to stuff until you feel like you need it. And that's what gets on my nerves when it comes to Tamara, right? But Katie says that she didn't say it and she wants them to prove that she did say it. I was like, well, Katie, this kind of going to be hard unless you guys filmed it on camera. Other than if you guys didn't film it on camera, then it's going to be your word against her word. And at this point, your word ain't much. So I will say that. But moving on. So then we get another scene with Katie, with her husband, Matt. And so she's just letting, Matt know about her meeting with Heather and Gina and the fact that Tamara said that, she told the blogger to put out information against them. And they also talked about, her kids coming to live with them. Cute scene. And that's really all we got with Katie. So we're wrapping this episode on up, you guys. It was a good episode, but it wasn't a whole lot to discuss. So the last person that we will discuss is going to be none other than Miss Jen. So we see Jen and Ryan. And I knew that there was something off about Jen's teeth. I knew there was something off about her teeth. I couldn't put my finger on it. So we see as her and Ryan are going. So I guess her and Ryan have veneers. The more that I look at people with veneers, and y'all know me going through my braces journey, I have really been sitting here thinking to myself, it's like, JB, it might have been better for you just to say fucking and get veneers, because I'm sick of these braces. I am so sick of these braces. So I wish I had the money to go get the veneers, but neither here nor there. So while they're there, they're having a conversation about Tamara, and they talked about, Joe being at the party. And so Jen also talked to Ryan about the fact that, she told, she's meeting up with Tamara, and Ryan, it seems like he's a little bit skeptical about her meeting up with Tamara, which honestly I would be too. What the hell is going on now? Now somebody's banning on something. Yeah, we're finna wrap this on up because it ain't really much to discuss. So he is just skeptical, but because she's telling him that everybody is talking about, they see the change in Tamara. I don't know what change y'all are seeing in Tamara, but if y'all see one, then oh well. Like, so he's basically telling her to go meet up with Tamara. If she's changed, you'll see it. If she hasn't, you'll see that as well, right? Now, we do see this meet up with Tamara and Jen. And all that I got to say is, Jen, you're far better than I could ever be. Because you sat there a little bit too long for my liking with Tamara. Because Tamara immediately came in and she had a stank attitude. And then when y'all started talking, Tamara became extremely defensive. When I saw all that from Tamara, I would have been like, you know what? I want to come here and see what everybody has been saying about you, that they feel like there's a different Tamara, that there's a change with you. But from where I'm sitting, you still look like the same miserable, bitter Betty that you've always been. And for that, I'm going to dip out. But Tamara got upset when Jen kept calling her sick. And I was like, oh, okay, you like what are you so upset about? So Tamara got up and left from the table, and I was like, oh, Tammy sued on the left. But whatever. That's the episode, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comment section below. Please subscribe to the channel, you guys. Turn on your post notifications and share the video. And until next time, you guys, stay safe out there and take care of yourselves. Wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.